As the Clone Wars neared its end, with Anakin Skywalker beginning his descent into darkness and Palpatine mere hours away from declaring himself Emperor and creating a new order, the Outer Rim sieges waged on, with Jedi and clone armies dispatched en masse, clashing with CIS forces. One of the many battlegrounds was the planet Mercana, which was being brutally assaulted by the Republic. Mercana was a major battleground near other key planets like Felucia, and more importantly, a center of business, industry, and pleasure for the corporate alliance. The Seppies, however, were dug in, and it was believed that the taking and holding of the planet would be one of the bloodiest and longest engagements of the war. A trio of Jedi, including Rose Shrine, Bul Chatak, and her Padawan Oli Starstone, along with several squadrons of clones, were launched from a Victory Star Destroyer and sent to the planet's surface. There, they rendezvoused with Ion Team, a Clone Commando unit led by a clone nicknamed Climber, who had worked with Shrine on a prior mission. The Clone Commandos had captured a mercenary who had been working with the Separatists. This merc offered to help the combined units of the Commandos, the Jedi, and other troopers led by Clone Commander Salvo in taking down a shield generator, which was preventing a full planetary assault. With this intel, the objective was easily accomplished. Afterwards, the Jedi and the clones split up, so the Jedi could search the landing zone for any remaining enemy combatants. While separated, Climber, the Clone Commando leader of Ion Team, was radioed by Salvo. "I've excerpted some of the conversation. We're taking out the Jedi," Salvo said. "On whose orders? Are you questioning my authority?" "No, sir, just doing my job. Your job is to obey your superiors." Climber recalled Shrine's actions in the generator room, his speed and accuracy, his skill with the lightsaber. "Yes, sir. I'm just not too clean about going up against 3 Jedi. None of us is, Climber. That's why we need your team here. I want to set up an ambush short of the rally point." "What was that all about, Trace?" another Clone Commando asked. Climber sat on his haunches. "We've been ordered to spring an ambush on the Jedi." "Odd time for a live fire exercise," another asked. "This isn't an exercise," Climber responded. "So what did they do?" Salvo didn't say, and it's not a question we're supposed to ask. Are we clear on that? The 3 specs regarded one another. "How do you want to handle it?" Ras said finally. "The commander wants us to blow an ambush," Climber said in a determined voice. "I say we give him what he wants." The Jedi, alone on the battlefield, began to feel an overwhelming sense of dread in the Force, however, are unable to get to the heart of it. They eventually end up in a street, the end of which sits Salvo and a platoon of clone troopers in a defensive stance. However, before either side is able to take action, a droid buster bomb explodes. Surprisingly, it's not set up near the Jedi, rather the clones. The energy weapon is able to overwhelm the clone suits and blinds their visors. The trap had been set by Ion Team, who approached the Jedi and revealed that they had been ordered to kill them, and that they won't hesitate to, but need to confirm the nature and truth of the order. The incapacitated clones are tied up, and Salvo reveals that the order came from way on high within the Republic hierarchy. Climber and the Commandos allow the Jedi to escape, but tells them that they will not kill their own to protect them, and that orders are orders. Next time, they will be forced to engage. Later, Salvo reveals to Climber that the orders came from Palpatine himself, who accused the Jedi of not only an assassination attempt, but also a larger treason in instigating and controlling the Clone Wars in order to seize power. The 2 clones reconcile, with Salvo stating, "You shouldn't be thinking for yourself, brother. It's more dangerous than you know." Still, Climber states that he served an oath to protect and serve the Republic, not Palpatine himself. Salvo responds by saying that Palpatine is the Republic. The Jedi use this opportunity to escape, and they steal merc clothing so they can blend in with local populations. Eventually, the Separatist droids, who had still been opposing the Republic, are shut down in unison as Anakin disables the droid master switch. As this happens, the disguised Jedi also receive a return to Coruscant message from the Jedi Temple, but are also immediately surrounded by clones who have begun landing on the planet en masse. Thankfully, no one recognizes them. 4 weeks later, Vader is dispatched to Mercana to deal with the clones who refuse to comply with Order 66. 3 of the 6 Jedi who had been present during the initial battle are recorded as killed, but that still leaves 3 alive. However, finding them is a secondary objective, and with the Jedi Order broken, neither Palpatine or Vader is overly concerned about their presence. Vader and the 501st arrive in a new Imperator-class Star Destroyer, and the Sith Lord journeys to the surface, where the Mercana prisoners and the clones have been waiting. There, the Jedi not only see Vader for the first time, but overhear mentions of an Empire and the Emperor, making it clear that the galaxy has changed significantly since the battle began. Vader summons Ion Team and asks why they refused a direct order. "I've come to deal with the ones who allowed them to escape." Clymer immediately stepped forward. "That would be me." "And us," the rest of Ion Team announced in unison. Vader stared down at the commandos. "You disobeyed a direct order from High Command." "The order made no sense at the time," Clymer answered for everyone. "We thought it might be a separatist trick." "What you thought has no bearing on this," Vader said, pointing at Clymer. "You are expected to follow orders, and we follow any reasonable ones. Killing our own didn't qualify." Vader continued to point his forefinger at Clymer's chest. "They weren't your allies, squad leader. They were traitors, and you sided with them." Clymer stood his ground. "Traitors how? Because a few of them tried to arrest Palpatine, I still don't see how that warrants a death penalty for the lot of them." "I'll be sure to notify the Emperor of your concerns," Vader said. "You do that." Unfortunately, Vader was saying, you won't be alive to learn of his response. Vader draws his lightsaber, and the commandos fall back, raising and firing their weapons. They refuse to be, and I quote, "executed by the Emperor's lapdog." Vader is able to deflect all bolts easily and quickly kills 2 of the commandos. Clymer and the final surviving member of the team escape, but are pursued and eventually captured and imprisoned by the 501st. Before Vader can leave, the disguised Jedi Bolch attacks from the crowd and injures the Sith Lord, who is still adjusting to his new suit and limited mobility. He responds by decapitating her. The other Jedi would eventually escape, and maybe I'll cover their stories another day. So why did the clones actually refuse the order? Well, I think it was less a sense of honor or camaraderie, and more the belief that the order for Jedi execution was illegitimate and harming of the Republic. Palpatine may disagree with me, as he tells Vader that they refused due to, and I quote, "contagion brought upon by fighting alongside the Jedi for so many years. Clone or otherwise, there is only so much a being can be programmed to do. Sooner or later, even a lowly trooper will become the sum of his experiences." I do think that he's telling that sort of to appease Vader, maybe not refer to the fact that the clones obviously have command chips within inside their brains. Speaking of command chips, they do seem to be a little less influential in Legends, more helping with suggestibility and whatnot, not outright forcing action unless removed, like canon. And I do believe in canon, all clone troopers who didn't remove these chips or have the chips malfunction were forced to execute Order 66. I will say, personally, I prefer the Legends approach. However, that's all the lore for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on for future uploads. Everything from today's video comes from the phenomenal book Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, which is a sort of sequel to James Luceno's Revenge of the Sith novelization. It's a really great book, and there's actually a decently abridged version on Audible at about 8 hours long. If you want to get a free book and you haven't used an Audible trial before, you can support the channel by going to audibletrial.com/EckhartsLadder. You can download that book or countless others. But let's get to the question of the day. Ed Lippincott asks about my chosen Force philosophy, and I think Luke's Jedi Order towards the end of the Yuuzhan Vong War basically got everything right. They didn't have the more doctrinal or rigid rules of the old Jedi Order. For example, they could take loved ones, and they just didn't limit themselves emotionally. But they were still, of course, servants of the light, they were the good guys generally, and I just think it's obvious that serving the dark side is ultimately a corrupting and evil experience. That's not what I would choose for myself. However, I also like the teachings of Vergere around the end of the new Jedi Order, not later on when we learn that she was a Sith in a stupid retcon, where she explains that passion isn't necessarily evil, it's the intention and the acting upon passion together, which can be bad. If you want to learn about that, then I highly recommend you check out Traitor and the subsequent Star Wars New Jedi Order books. Anyway, that's all for today. Until next time, may the Force be with you.